And we are live.
Hello.
Yes, welcome to Force of Light Entertainment for our live stream. Well, hello to everyone. We already see people we've already got Michael Campbell.
Hello, Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie's about to, yes.
I just
And we got
about that. Michael.
Blue Harvest Vintage Toys. Scuba Pete.
Yay, Scuba Pete.
Scuba Pete, we got you in the house. RFB in the house. So thank you guys for tuning in. Well, this morning, you guys know we were supposed to have Star Wars Sessions with us, but unfortunately, I believe it was Matt who had to be out with his father-in-law who lives in the country, and he could not get a connection. So we are having to reschedule Star Wars Sessions. So they will be on at a later date, and we'll let you guys know when we are able to work that out with them because we're so excited to talk with them. Great podcast, but we will do that in the future. But on last second notice, someone from the Red 5 was willing to step up to the plate and heed the call. And that is no other than Mr. Charlie Skywalker. Hello.
Good
How are you doing?
morning. Yeah, it's a great day so far. I kind of was just lazing around and decided, let me check my messages, and saw the message, and I'm like, man, I have to take advantage of this. I have not been on with you guys yet, so. Very willing and able to join in. So thank you very much for the invite.
Yes.
You're very welcome. We're happy to have you.
Yes, and everyone in the chat, I was telling them before we just came on, I text because you hopped on in the chat, I believe Wednesday for the holiday special discussion, and after I inboxed you, was like, we're planning on having you on sometime soon, and you just didn't know that it was going to be like as soon as you woke up on Saturday morning.
Right. Really soon.
That's all right.
Yeah, so thank you for, you've even skipped your Dunkin' coffee this morning to come on.
Hey, I like my Dunkin' drink too. I had to hurry here. I would have had my, it looks like green milk, basically.
It does. Instead of blue milk, she goes for the green milk.
I go for the Baby Yoda milk.
That's what she
There you go.
And hello to Vader,
Vader Girl.
Yes. Well, Charlie, we are going to, so today, guys, in the chat, we're going to kind of keep on the discussion we were going to have with Star Wars Sessions, and we are going to ask Charlie kind of get his take on, and you guys let us know in the comments too. Of course, we have our full-blown spoiler discussion of this last episode that is already available on YouTube and podcast, whichever version format you prefer. But we are going to now talk with Charlie and get his take about kind of what have you thought about The Mandalorian so far, and then where do we think it's going to go? So we'll start with what have you thought about Mando so far?
So far, this season has already topped the first season.
I kind of think so too, in a way.
Yeah.
The first season set the groundwork, and it was good, and lots of it were great. There's some things that I might have liked to have seen a little differently, but for the most part, they did the groundwork. They set the opening chapters and left us wanting more. And man, are they really delivering this season. So we're 4 episodes in, and they've already far exceeded any of my expectations. The storytelling is just blown me out of I don't know how many times I've lifted my jaw up off the ground and had to put it back up just because of what they were doing.
Yes, I mean, I totally agree. Like, and it's so hard to judge because I love season 1.
Yeah.
But I had even said in our predictions that I felt like this season has the potential to even outdo season 1. So I think it really is at least equal, if not maybe slightly ahead of it for me at this point. This is funny. I was going to hit that too. Scuba Steve, Scuba Pete, he gave this, let's see, he gave episode
5 hoots.
5 hoots. 5 hoots.
I love it.
Natalie, we didn't rate it at the end.
I know we gotta incorporate that into our every time.
So I'm gonna say too, Scuba Pete, we give it 5 hoots too. It was one of my favorites, if not my favorite. Charlie, what about episode 4? Where do you kind of rank it in your episodes of the season?
Well, I was talking with Steve from Rogue One Radio, and as it was going on, I was just typing my thoughts with him in a conversation as I was watching it, and I was about maybe a third of the way, maybe almost halfway through it, and I was like, man, I'm really confused. I like it, but I don't know what they're doing with it. I can't remember the guy's name. Horatio Sands' character that was in the first one.
Yes.
Yeah, so they brought him back, and I was like, well, that's an interesting choice. I don't know if I would have gone there. And then the way it started to unfold right before they got to the base, I was just like, man, I don't see where this thing is going. And then it just went off the rails. And I think as of right now, it's my favorite one of the season.
Yeah, I mean it's really, I said that on our discussion. It's Natalie and I are some of the few that truly love episode 2 for some reason. It got us. It was our weird random pick. But I think episode 4 is my favorite, and then 2 randomly. I know that's random for people, but I thought episode 4, and to me, and Charlie, you can let us know what you think. It just shows us, to me, Star Wars is so much about friendships and kind of that gang, that crew. And the Mandalorian's gang, his crew, is Cara Dune and Grief Karga. And you just realize how much the show missed them, and kind of, and even though not truly, because the 3 episodes before have been fantastic, but I want more of them. Like, I want them moving forward to be in at least 4 out of 8 episodes,
right?
If not maybe 5. I mean, it's just, they are a part of the Mandalorian, and I mean, Grief adds so much humor. He's like the grandfather of Baby Yoda. And Cara is just an awesome female Star Wars character. And they just all together work so awesome and have great chemistry off of one another.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I find it interesting that you picked 2 and 4 as your favorite episodes. And the reason why I say that is most people will like the first one and the third one, and maybe just the second half of 4 because of the action, the intensity that's in it. Whereas 2 and 4 really are starting to connect the dots between the first season, what's going on so far, and the rest of the series.
So what you're trying to say is we're the intelligent ones, right?
I would definitely say that, yes.
I like it.
We go for connection and heart over just
style over substance, my friends. I mean, substance over style.
Obviously, we kid, because I mean, every episode's been great.
Oh yeah,
totally great. But we do see, and I'll let you get into that, Charlie. What do you think? Because episode 4 at the end there really began to give us kind of some ideas of where this show is probably going. It really, to me, because here's the thing. The trailer only showed us things from the first 4 episodes. So moving from 5 on, we're in uncharted territory, my friends.
And it's about to get rocky.
Yeah, it's about to get rocky
in a good way.
It's about to get real on the Mandalorian, I believe. So tell us kind of what did you think was going on in that lab, and then ultimately too what they show Moff Gideon, whatever he had.
Well, they kind of alluded to it in some of the movies, that they've had so many tries to get the right vessel for Sheevy to inhibit. And the closest that they came in the movies was Snoke.
Yes.
And so we never really saw that process on how that they were going about doing that, other than just seeing some tubes. on Exegol in 9, you finally see, you know, wow, they really did string this along and try to get as many different possibilities as they could. And then you watch episode 4 and you see the tubes, and they were starting right then, which this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So they were already in preps for this. And now we're kind of seeing how this plays out and kind of where the child fits into this. And, you know, he's like, man, I've only had so much blood, and, you know, we can, and we've seen results. I just need more. And so now we know why they want the child.
Yeah.
It's just a bout of, are they going to get him again, or where's this going to play out? So I love the connections that they're doing in the show. Their episode 4 had so many callbacks to other movies just in camera shots alone.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and I in my head, I was like, oh man, I can hear the dialogue, but it's dialogue from the other movies in these scenes when they're shooting it. And so man, I can't wait for these last 4 that we're going to get for this season.
Let's see. We have 5 left. No, do we have 4? Yeah, just 4.
Is it only 8?
Yeah, just 4. You're correct.
Yeah. So and we already know that they're doing season 3. That's already been greenlit, and they're in pre-production. So I mean, I have some wild speculations, but I don't, where they're going to get from here to there is a great big ball of excitement. I can't wait.
Oh, I think it's about to get wild. I want to point out Scuba Pete's got a good idea. My ears were loving the old audio that was in episode 4, the doors popping open, noise from the Death Star. Yeah, that that alarm sounding, the stormtrooper saying, I noticed that too, Scuba Pete. There they are, blast them.
Yes.
Just little things like that. Yes, just little things like that are just so much fun about this show. And hello to Salacious Rum, that dangerous little monkey lizard.
Keeping it spicy.
Yeah. But yes, and I mean, with Star Wars, there's going to be fans that complain if this doesn't connect to the sequel trilogy, and there will be fans that complain if it does.
Yes.
But I think what they're doing is going to give more weight to the sequel trilogy and still allow it to be its own thing. So I think it's really neat how they're beginning to connect it, because I kind of felt from the very beginning with Baby Yoda, because I don't know if are you a gamer, Charlie?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I kind of thought you were. I didn't play the second Battlefront, but I watched the story, like movie, how you can do online.
Yeah.
And to me, it really is fitting into Palpatine's contingency plan and kind of how he set in motion this plan. And it seems like maybe Moff Gideon and these Imperials are a part of that, is what it seems like. And as you pointed out, in that lab that they're in, one of them really looks like almost a version of Snoke, like with the thing kind of down his, like the crack in the head. And so it really does look like they are going to loosely connect it to the sequel trilogy, which I think is a good thing, because one of the complaints of the sequel trilogy is some of the background information. How did the First Order arise? How's Emperor Palpatine way out in Exegol? I mean, so to me, just as Clone Wars really helped the prequels, this show and maybe others in the future can really add some weight and give credence to the sequels.
Yes.
And I think they are definitely on that track. I believe that I thought they were going to do it with books, but I don't think that yes, there's a lot of people that buy the books and read the books, but there's more people watching The Mandalorian and the Disney Plus stuff than there are people reading the books.
Yeah,
definitely. So I think that instead of going with the books, and there were a few books that they have put out in between to try to fill in some of the gaps that the movies didn't show, but this is going to be their great tie-in. This and the other shows that they have coming up are definitely going to be what we need, and a lot of people are not going to like it because we just want to watch the movies as the movies, and we don't want the extra connecting pieces. We don't have to want to watch, and this was the whole thing about the EU is, we don't want to watch the comics and read all the books in order to get Star Wars to connect the dots. We just want just the movies, and that's fine. And you shouldn't have to, but for us diehards, we want every scrap of Star Wars that we can find, even if it's written on a napkin in a restaurant somewhere. We want to see it. Give us your thoughts, your ideas, where you came up with this, and so yeah, I think the Mandalorian is going to be the Iron Man of Marvel.
Yes.
It's setting the stage for not only what they can do, but what they're going to do and how it's going to all interconnect.
Yeah, I think that is a great connection, and how, since Jon Favreau, of course, was involved in Iron Man. I just think it's wonderful because the way they've done The Mandalorian, it's not like you necessarily have to have seen the originals or have to probably eventually see the sequels. But like, let's say after I watched the first episode, The Mandalorian, I went back and watched the original trilogy for like the 5th time this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you want to. And then it would be so cool if these slight connections to the sequels, when The Mandalorian is all said and done, it makes you want to move into the sequels. I just think that's good business and storytelling, really. And I did want to point this out before you move, Natalie.
Oh, sure.
Let's find that one again. I was going to address that one. Because I think, and we're kind of moving in.
And we kind of touched on that last night. That's kind of what I see happening. Kind of maybe that type of situation.
Yes, Charlie, what do you think? Because I think, as I said in our, again, you guys can check out on YouTube our spoiler discussion of Chapter 4, and I say at the end, I think we address it throughout. Clearly, I believe they are setting with Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan is tracking Moff Gideon, and Mando and her seem to pick up the connection there, but she's tracking him for the Darksaber. Meanwhile, Moff Gideon is tracking Mando for the child. So I believe they're all on a course collision.
Yeah.
And I just think between Grief Karga and Cara Dune and Bo-Katan and the Night Owls, or whatever they're called, I just see that you could maybe have a kind of in-game battle at the end of the season with the Mandos versus the Empire forces. Plus, of course, his crew of Cara and Grief.
The gang.
Yeah.
You'll get a small version, I believe.
Yes. Not near the scale.
Right.
What I think is going to happen, and this is just pure speculation in my own little headspace that is warped and twisted. There will be a battle at the end with the Mando and his friends, with Bo-Katan and her friends, versus Moff Gideon and whoever he decides to bring to the table as well. There will be a fight. Bo-Katan will get the Darksaber. The Empire will get the child. Then the race is on in episode 3 to get the child back, and then we'll have to. Yeah, that's a whole different can of worms.
Well, you're not the first to speculate that they would end the season kind of on an Empire Strikes Back cliffhanger of kind of that darker tone of one of the heroes, of course, in that case being frozen in carbonite, but them getting the child, because you do have to set up something for season 3.
Right.
This season, of course, is about finding the Jedi. So I can see that playing out. And man, if that plays out, what a miserable, 10 months we're all going to have to wait.
What are they doing to him? What are they doing?
We're like, no!
Protect the child at all costs.
Yes. Yes.
And will it make it super awesome if they do that for when it returns? Yes, but like she said, it's like you've got months then that you're like, oh, it's like when it ends.
And I already wonder, or I've thought this two ways. They could do that route, which then really leaves people like, oh, for season 3. Or I've even wondered if, say, in the next episode, could Moff Gideon overtake Ahsoka and all them just by sheer force of how many there are, and maybe somehow get the child, and they have to figure out how to get the child back this season? I've actually had that thought even recently. I think it could go either way.
Yeah, it definitely could, and that's the great thing about what they did to us with the trailer is, oh yeah, we're so excited to see this. We got this bit and this bit and this bit, and wait a minute, you go back and as you said, that's all from everything we've seen so far. So what's coming? And it's almost that dread of not knowing and. In the anticipation of I can't wait to see it, but what happens if something bad goes wrong? And it's like one of those chilling chapters of the books that you don't want to turn that page, but you gotta.
Yes. Yeah, you definitely. And let me address Michael Campbell.
I saw that.
Baby Yoda's not dying, and I'll tell you why. Disney, has lost billions of dollars this year. So there's no way on earth Baby Yoda's dying. He makes them way too much money. Baby Yoda, strictly because of how much money he makes Disney, is safe for the long term.
I think so.
Yeah. He might be lost for a little bit, but
he will return.
He will be found.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, because as you're holding, and I have, and how many other countless people have spent their money and invested their time into this little green ball of cuteness. So, I don't think that there's not any way. I just had a flash of a thought that I wouldn't be surprised if the Empire does get him at the end, and when we come back, he's not the cute little green Yoda anymore. Because he's 50 years old.
Yeah.
And he's still a little baby. And, who's to say when that little growth spurt starts? I don't know. I think just from a marketing standpoint, you might have a teenage Yoda rather than a baby Yoda, and that could when they finally get him back and Mando says that's not him.
I think too, even if this season does end with Moff Gideon getting in possession of the child, I think we really don't have to worry as fans. Like, he would be fine. Like, they wouldn't harm him really in any way. Because at the end of the day, this show is so family friendly,
right,
and so lighthearted that it's only going to go so dark. Like, if that makes sense. Like the tone is already set, and it's very goofy. I mean, you can bring in comedians that are humorous, like Amy Sedaris.
I mean, I don't know if I'd say very goofy, but it has a lightheartedness to it.
Baby Yoda stealing the macaroons.
Right.
It's it can be downright goofy. I even saw someone use the word cheesy at times, but in a fun way.
Right, in a fun way. But I mean, it is for kids and adults.
It is, and that's why what I'm saying is the tone is set, so it's only gonna go so dark.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just not worried about Baby Yoda at this point in general, because he's going to be okay. Like, at this point, him and Mando are the two lead characters. They are the heartbeat of the show, and it'll be fine. I mean, I would be so sad if I have to go 10 months with him with Moff Gideon, but I bet they would have Mando get him back pretty quickly if that was the case.
I was looking at Scuba Pete's comment.
What is Scuba? I mean, I wouldn't put it past little Baby Yoda. If he wants something, he goes for it. Uh-oh, hey, Shabby. It's Shabby's in the house. How are you, Shabby? Yes. So I think it's going to be. I'm intrigued where they're going, but I could see, and the reason I can see Moff Gideon getting a hold of him this season is from what Juan Carlos Esposito has already said, because he made comments like months ago about how Baby Yoda is very intrigued by the Darksaber. And so for him to make these comments, it almost sounds like he was in possession of Baby Yoda at some point in the season. So maybe that's out of context and that won't be the case. But again, I could see Baby Yoda somehow getting captured even mid-season, or maybe with 2 episodes left to go in this season.
And it being resolved by the end of the season.
I could see it that way, or the Empire Strikes Back cliffhanger.
Right.
Either way.
True.
Yeah.
So it could go either way. So now that we kind of got that, we'll kind of, I guess, conclude today so kind of what do you think of the future of this? Do you think there's any spin-offs from the characters they've introduced? Say, we believe probably, with the next chapter being titled The Jedi, it seems very likely that Ahsoka Tano will appear in next week's episode.
Which, can I just say, I feel like every episode thus far leaves me more hungry for the next episode.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's like they're great. But then I'm like, oh gosh, I want the next one so bad.
And that's sign of a well-written show.
It is, yeah.
So with her probably being introduced next week, and it seems to be introduced regardless, you've got Bo-Katan, who's basically one to reestablish Mandalore. Are there any potential spin-off shows with either of those 2 characters that you think are imminent, that are probably going to be announced soon?
Absolutely. I've already heard the rumors that there's going to be the Ahsoka spinoff. And so I figured she wouldn't be around too much in here. They might show her for an episode, maybe 2, which is surprising because I thought it would be at the very end of the season. But they might show her and say, well, I mean, I didn't know that the next one is titled The Jedi, but so if she shows up in this one, I don't know how much of an impact that it will be. But I almost see it at the end. I see a big battle at the end with her being there. I also believe that by the time that this is all said and done, they will have Baby Yoda will be with her. And so they might have that as a spin-off type show with her training like a Baby Yoda character off wherever she is, because we don't see her in the sequel trilogy. We just hear her voice at the end of 9.
Yes.
And they already said that just because you heard the voice doesn't necessarily mean that she's passed. So, because there was a lot of question on that, just like, well, I guess she's dead too, and they're like, maybe not so fast. So, I think we'll get that one. As successful as The Mandalorian is, I believe we'll get a Bo-Katan one. I believe that they'll probably bring in Sabine as well.
Yes.
Yes. And I heard that there was going to be a Cara Dune possibly animated show as well, rather than a live action.
Would it go back and tell like her story before The Mandalorian?
That's the rumors that I've heard. Is a lot of people are wondering where she came from. We know that she's from Alderaan. We know that she was part of the rebellion, and we need to. Everyone wants to know where, how does she actually really fit in? So I think that would be something cool to explore. But I did hear that it was going to be more of an animated show rather than live action. So,
well, that would actually be kind of cool, because you could bring in someone voicing like Princess Leia, since she's from Alderaan, and some of these legacy characters into it. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it was animated, and especially if Dave Filoni had any hand in it, I think that would be pretty cool too. But I definitely do think, I think the Ahsoka thing's going to happen. I think, though, they really could make an awesome Bo-Katan kind of taking watching the Mandalorians fight for almost who gets the throne of Mandalore, so to speak. That could be really cool. Because you could bring in like Sabine Wren and even Ezra at some point. I mean, to one of these shows. That would be cool. And then do you ever think, because I see people talking, do you think there's a shot that down the road in The Mandalorian we get, and I think you would have to cast like Sebastian Stan. I just don't think there's any way you can do.
Yeah, I noticed that's what Michael Campbell had pointed out, the guy from Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan. Yeah,
Yes.
I think he would make such an excellent young Luke. Yeah.
Would you be shocked if somewhere down the road, especially with Sebastian Stan already being on Disney Plus with his show for Marvel, could you see him maybe accepting that mantle and appearing maybe in season 3 or 4 of The Mandalorian? What says you?
I don't. I would love.
Like I want to.
I want to believe it.
Yes, and he would be fantastic in that. I don't think that we'll see that. I had a thought that maybe they'll do something with the Kenobi series, but I think that's going to be way too short to include an older type of thing. I don't know. Man, that's tough. Because he looks a lot like Mark Hamill.
He looks so much like him, and is a phenomenal actor who I think could figure it out.
Oh, absolutely. I don't see where it would fit into maybe The Mandalorian, maybe something with Ahsoka if they spin off and they do something with her. Because I think the way that he's aged now, unless they do some sort of a little bit of de-aging there, man, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a fun thought, regardless.
No, absolutely, yeah. I would love to see it. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, it would be difficult. If anyone's going to pull it off, I think it will be Disney. Since, let's see,
I agree, Shabby. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah, I think all of our heads would explode. like a young Sebastian Stan, say right after Return of the Jedi, just exploring, like doing Jedi stuff. You know that
Jedi stuff.
Like I would be so down for that TV show. I mean, we all would. All of our heads would just explode, like you said, Shabby. So we can kind of end on. So you already gave I guess your predictions. You can clarify if you want. I kind of think I'm going to go a different route. Like I kind of feel like the heartbeat of the show. Even there's an image that I posted, and it's Baby Yoda and Mando sitting there of them, sipping the soup.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, like father, like son. Because Star Wars has had kind of bad father figures, like Vader wasn't really there for his kids for obvious reasons,
to put it lightly.
Even Han kind of struggled in that role, clearly. I mean, his son murdered him. So I think this is the first time they've truly depicted on screen like a good father, like him, even them working together with Baby Yoda, trying to figure out how to fix the ship, them drinking soup together. I just think because of that, and because so many titles in Star Wars have a double meaning, like say Return of the Jedi, to me, that is both Luke and Anakin coming back. The Rise of Skywalker, it's both Ben coming back to the light and Rey taking the name. So many things have double meanings. I kind of almost am starting to feel like the end of season 1 kind of told us what's going to happen when Baby Yoda's holding the Mandalorian thing. Like, I think he will truly kind of identify in the future as a Mandalorian and say, Ahsoka, here's where I believe he will be trained. But look at Ahsoka, who left the Jedi Order because of their rigidness and kind of the way they were. She saw firsthand the damage that their no attachment thing did to Anakin. So I believe that she will not make Baby Yoda fully disconnect from Mando. And I believe that Mando will always be a part of Baby Yoda's life, even as Baby Yoda does train in the Force, but will also kind of always keep that Mandalorian identity to a degree. So that's my big theory as far as the future of the show. What do you think, Charlie?
Well, and I could definitely see that the strictness and the rigidity, as you said, of the Jedi is what pushed Ahsoka away. That is, in essence, the Mandalorian creed as well.
Yeah.
They have to be strict. They have to be regimented. Din Djarin believes that there is only one way, and you don't ever take your hat off, your helmet off in front of anybody. And then he sees Bo-Katan, who is the leader, and she's like, yeah, no, we don't do that. And so now his world is a little rocked as well.
Yes.
And I think that with Ahsoka, he'll definitely see that. I think we'll start to see him, if not in this season, then episode 3. I think that season 3, he'll have his helmet off a lot more.
Yes, I do too. Because I think what you're saying, I believe Mando, you're already seeing, even with him raising his helmet to drink the soup, there's already a softening that's beginning in him and in his thoughts.
I think so.
And if I remember right, there was some sort of production issue about Pedro wanting his face to be seen, and they kind of made a mediation in that, where they said, well, maybe not this time, but further down the road, we'll see. And I think we're starting to see that. And so I think we'll get to see Pedro a lot more, because he really wants the credit for being this character.
Yes.
And he's definitely the voice. I know a lot of the stunt work is done by 2 other guys, I believe, but he really wants it. So I think we're going to get to see him with the helmet off. There will definitely be a softening of the lines. I believe we'll probably see Bo-Katan get the Darksaber and start to try to rebuild Mandalore.
Yeah.
And I think that Baby Yoda will be trained by Ahsoka. And who knows where that will go. But yeah, Din will definitely be a presence in the child's life for as long as he's around. I agree with you. He's that good positive influence that teaches him right and wrong, and that we really didn't see much in the other Star Wars universe outings.
Totally. Yes, I think that's so right. And we'll let you answer this question from Michael. I will say this about that. I believe they could put together, if I'm doing Vader, because at some point we are going back to movies. I think that would be an incredible one-off movie. Like even think, and obviously not this dark or realistic, but think of how well Joker did at even rated R. It grossed $1 billion. So if you did kind of the Vader that's at the end of Rogue One, you'd have to soften it up a little to make it PG-13, obviously, and make it where kids would enjoy it too. But they would easily make $1 billion with a spin-off of a movie of Darth Vader.
Yeah, they could. It all depends on where they're going to set it, because we know how he becomes Darth Vader. We know what happens right before A New Hope with Rogue One. There are some Clone Wars, I guess, stuff that we could see. But where would you put it? And it wouldn't be after Return of the Jedi, because he's no longer there. But so, what story would you tell? And I think that's the main point for a Vader show is, what are you going to say that hasn't already been said?
Yeah, to me, that's why I would almost just make it a 2-hour movie of him kind of hunting down the Jedi, but you would still have to find a hero of the movie, or would it work as a Star Wars movie? So it'll be interesting to see if there's any Vader talk in the Obi-Wan miniseries done. If he possibly show up, maybe, or definitely at least. Let's see. Did we freeze or did you freeze?
Are
we here, people? Let's see. We're still
here.
Yeah, we're here. But
and thank you, Sean Solo 8.
Oh yes, thank you.
Much.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I think you're right. Where would they put it? What would the story be? But they definitely could do something really cool with him. I mean, he's just such a
absolutely
character. Definitely. Let's see, what else are they saying? Oh yes, yes. You're right. I saw that too. Sean Solo 8, he got one of those slideshow Baby Yodas. It looks phenomenal. Looks so cool. So yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, so I think that's kind of it. Any closing thoughts, Charlie, that you have for for the future of the Mandalorian? Because I think it's going to be an interesting ride.
Yes.
Well, just like Moff Gideon said, we'll be ready. And
yes,
we definitely will be ready to see what's going to happen. Early Friday morning, be sitting there. I should be working, but I'll have it on while for 30 to 45 minutes and geek and awe and pick my jaw up off the floor yet again. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see. But I think I've exhausted all of my wild theories that I could muster.
Yes. Yeah. My last theory, which I've said on our show, is I now believe from episode 4 and 2, the 2 that we said we love, I believe that the New Republic will come to their aid at some point because of that, the connection being made with this X-Wing pilot.
I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think it can lead to a pretty large battle at the end of the season, which would be cool since the last battle was very intimate. So that would be cool, but we're all speculating. We'll see how it goes and how it ends. But Charlie, thank you so much for coming on short notice and filling in. I mean, literally, guys, Charlie answered the call like 15 minutes before we came on. So thank you so much.
Yes, you're the real MVP.
You are.
Well, thanks again for the invite. And next time I have Star Wars Through the Ages, I'll have to have you guys on.
Yes, would love to. And tell everyone, because again, Charlie is a member of the Red 5 Network, which we are too. Tell them where they can find what your podcast is and where they can find you.
All right, sure. So I have my own podcast. It's Star Wars Through the Ages. And in that, we basically look at every aspect of Star Wars and try to apply it to our lives here. We talk about everything. The series I'm on now is What is the Force? And
nice.
I'm working on one. It's kind of a complicated issue, but the Force as a religion. And I'm going to kind of tie that into religions of that we have here in real life versus religions that they have in Star Wars. I am also a co-host for Rogue One Radio now. With Steve Long, and we're doing our Mando reviews as well. And if you have any questions, comments, or whatever, you can always find me at Red4Charlie at Twitter.
Awesome. Yes. Well, thank you so much. And definitely check out Charlie on both of those podcasts.
Yes.
And you also can find his podcast if you go to red5network.com. Both of those podcasts will be there. But thank you so much to everyone in the chat. You guys always make these so fun.
You do. We love these. I get addicted to these chats because I love the interaction. Salacious, your comment earlier almost made me lose it for whatever reason.
That monkey lizard is always doing suspicious things in the chat. And thank you, Vader.
You know what you said, Salacious.
You did. Thank you so much to everyone in the chat. Scuba Pete. Thank you. He gives it 5 hoots.
Woo!
Yeah. Thank you so much. And guys, next week we will be back after Thanksgiving. Our usual thing, Saturday at 11, we will be discussing chapter chapter 13
Yes.
of The Mandalorian
The
at that
Jedi.
point. Yes, we'll be back to our regular schedule of just a straight up Mandalorian discussion of the episode next Saturday at 11 a.m. But again, thank you, Charlie, for coming on.
Absolutely.
And what were
Thank you, Sean.
Oh, thank you, Sean. And check out Sean and Mark Shabby Geek and Blue Harvest. Check out all these different YouTube channels that are all
Dirty
great.
Monkey.
Oh, and Salacious Crumb. Yeah, the Dirty Monkey. Check him out too on YouTube. Great content with all of those guys. So check them out and check out Charlie.
Yes.
So thank you guys. We will see you guys next time on Force of Light Entertainment. And you guys remember that this is the way.
The way.
Yes, see you guys.